All right, friends, welcome back to the Holistic Ease podcast and vlog. I am so pumped for my guest today, who is Sarah Nickerson. She and I have been friends for a long, long time. We got to know each other a couple of different places back in our music days in Fargo, North Dakota, singing together on boards together. We also worked together at a French pastry shop a long, long time ago. Feels like another lifetime. And I've just watched her in her personal and spiritual and physical development over the last probably 10 years, really evolving into a newer and healthier version of herself in a way that has been very real to the feel and authentic and true and honoring of herself and her body. And I feel it like actually gives me goosebumps to talk about it, Sarah, because it's so different than what we see in so much of culture, which is just like a veneration of diet culture and punishing your body. And I feel like, the conversations that you and I have had, the things that you post on social, the things that you're doing in your work, all of that has been a really heartfelt process for you of almost like coming home to yourself. So welcome onto the podcast. We're so excited. Sarah is in the Santa Fe area. She is kind of like me. She's a musician, but she's also in the wellness world. So she is a Nia instructor, and we're going to get into what Nia is. But first of all, Sarah, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you. Do you want to just share a little bit about your story and how you ended up where you are in your life right now?
Well, that's a big question.
It is, I know.
Well, it's great. How I ended up here. Well, I ended up in Santa Fe. I'll start there. I ended up in Santa Fe by my life journey has been um, incredibly diverse in that I did start out as a musician. I went to school studying music. I went into another field of the arts, which arts management, nonprofit management, went to graduate school for that. And then I ended up here for that work in Santa Fe. And I did it mostly with joy for 6 years. But then when that joy meter really started to kind of go down a little bit, where I could feel it, I could feel that I was no longer even present in that place. I decided to take a risk, and I was singing more again. I hadn't planned on even singing again, but moving to Santa Fe really shifted a lot of things in my life. I found the right place for me to be me. And I started singing again, and I quit my full-time job and focused on my singing life, but then also started teaching Nia. I was an avid student for about 3 years, and then I got a white belt, which is how we progress in the system. It's much like a martial arts system,
Yeah.
and started teaching that. And how I ended up in this moment, I taught for years and at different spots in Santa Fe. And and then now I'm teaching teaching now 6 days a week and love it. And I'm also training to be a trainer. So I'm actually going to train teachers how to teach, and also just bring them into this somatic practice that I love. My body story.
Yeah, let's talk about
I'll
the
just go
body.
ahead and tell you my
Yeah.
body story.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I was always overweight. I was always labeled fat. I was always clinically determined to be obese based on the numbers that we were all given. I absolutely, amidst all of that, where I constantly felt that in my life, and I was dieting when I probably started dieting when I was about 12,
Yeah.
and I was on Weight Watchers at that time when I was a kid. And then it was Jenny Craig, and then it was lean cuisine. It was everything that was out there in the world that was really supporting this narrative of, even as a child, I wasn't the right body.
Yeah.
I was not the right body. And so I started to diet when I was that age, and continued to follow that path for most of my life, and also got to a place in my life where I was very like 100 pounds more than I am now. And in that place, I was in a crisis, but it wasn't only about my weight. My
Mm.
crisis was around who I was. And I was very confused around music. I was very confused about my path, what I was going to be. And my body was a reflection of that confusion in a way. It was just this added thing. And at that point, I got a little more clear. I went back to school. I decided for myself, without any voices telling me what I should or should not do. I finally made the choice for myself that I wanted to change my body so that I felt like I felt like I was me and not a shell of who I was.
Yeah.
And so I did start to lose weight, and I lost, like I said, about 100 pounds. And now, and since that time, I've still been on a diet all of that time. I should say, I had been.
Yeah.
My weight went up, my weight went down. I was in a bigger body, I was in a smaller body. I was always with the conversation of whenever I got into the smaller body, people would tell me how good I looked. When I got into a larger body, no one would say a word. When I
Right.
got into a smaller body, I was always congratulated. When I got into, it's just
Yeah.
it's always this path.
Yes.
And it was about actually a year ago that, or maybe 2 years, I discovered a book that really changed my life. Your Body is Not an Apology.
Oh, yeah.
And I also just really started digging into how I was constantly thinking about food and constantly thinking about dieting.
Yeah.
And it was not like a passing moment. It was almost every day I was thinking about what I was going to eat next, and if I could eat this, then, and it was a constant thing happening in my life. So where I am now in this now body is larger than I was a year ago when I made this a conscious choice to not listen to those voices of expectation and to really start to listen to, if I'm hungry, I eat. If I, it's not been easy. I've had many moments where I've had to share with my husband, maybe I should go back on this one. That one worked for me. I lost weight. And thankfully I have a husband that's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Just kept telling me that, supporting this choice I made, that I don't have to get on that ship again.
Mm.
And so now I'm in this now body, and Nia has been a very big part of me being able to love the body I am in now, and really knowing that if I'm able to move, if I'm lucky enough to move, not even able, if I am lucky enough to be able to move this body, then I am living, and this body is worthy of love, 100%.
Oh my gosh, that's the best story ever. I think if people have listened this far in the podcast, they're probably like emotional or feeling like they really resonate with so much of what you say. Because, man, those messages in the diet culture are something that have been so ingrained in so many of us. And like you, for me, it started very, very young. And those expectations have been ingrained. And the mental real estate that those conversations you have with yourself over food in your body, the amount of mental real estate that it takes up it's totally unacceptable, actually. And, we've been talking a lot on this podcast about intuitive eating and learning to honor our bodies and learning to see movement not as something that we do to punish ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
but as something that we do to honor ourselves. So I remember seeing you start to get into yoga a little bit back in the day. And then all of a sudden I was hearing about this Nia thing. So tell us about Nia. I think a lot of people probably haven't been exposed to Nia. So I want you to explain what it is. And then I want to hear about what your first class experience was like.
Okay. So Nia is this amazing practice that is, it's informed and energized by a lot of different things. It's energized and informed by dance and by healing arts and by martial arts. But really what Nia is the permission to listen to my body,
Mm.
And my body is speaking to me at all times, right? And whether if I'm still, which is never like stillness, I'm still in this moment, I'm moving. And if I'm paying attention to my body right now, I know that my skin is touching the chair. And I know that my breath is a little elevated since I'm in this place of interview.
Yeah.
And my heart's a little beating a little faster. So Nia is like that opportunity to listen to those voices and choose comfort and pleasure.
Mm.
And comfort and pleasure means that we are always moving towards this place of pleasure rather than pain. So if our body is giving us this beautiful voice of pain, saying, hello, listen, I need you to hear me. This is a sensation. Nia is giving me the opportunity to listen to it and then tweak so that I'm always moving more towards joy.
Wow.
And not only that, but it also allows me to get to my body's potential. It's not only about staying comfortable, it's getting to the edges of possibility too. So what are my conditioning edges? What are my self-healing edges? Where can I really push those boundaries so that I can start to make life choices that are difficult,
Yeah.
which Nia has helped me with tremendously, make very challenging conversations happen, choices happen. So it's a body practice that starts from just being in community, and much like a fitness class, we
Right.
walk in and we move together and everyone sweats and gets a freaking fantastic workout. And then, but it's more, there's something else. And that is where the spirit and emotional body and the mind and mental body, it all comes together. And it's been around for about 30 years. It was developed by Debbie Rosas, who is still just absolutely shining and guiding us in this practice. And she's a phenomenal woman who took so many risks and to create what she wanted and desired. And I can tell you about my first class experience.
Yes, because I want to
So,
know, like,
so I
your.
had, yeah, so yoga was my thing. I was doing Ashtanga yoga, which Ashtanga, for those, some of you have probably done it, but it's very, very much do this, 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 this. It's a pattern, the sequence it's the same every single time.
Mhm.
Very strenuous yoga practice. And I was deep into it. And I was taking an Ashtanga class at this place called Body. And before that class was a Nia class, and people would walk out sweating and so happy, almost almost to the point of like, I don't know about
It's
those
a little
people.
weird.
I don't know about those people. Like, I don't know if I want that. And so, just that resistance to the joy,
Yeah.
and but yet I was like, but there's something happening there I need to see and I need to be part of. So I took a class, and it was very it wasn't the automatic. I've heard so many stories with Nia, like, oh, it was automatic in. I was 100%, it was my thing.
Mhm.
I was in the back of the room watching, seeing a lot of people doing like stretches that more dancerly stretches that I'm like, well, that's not me. Um, but yet there was something calling to me, and I didn't really speak to anybody. It was very, very personal, and it was for a long time. I
Mm.
was healing grief. I was healing a lot of things that I came to the city with, to Santa Fe with. And then, but it kept changing me every single time.
Mm.
Every time I stepped out of the class, I felt different, and my body was changing due to being in a place of moving for joy, not for exercise's sake.
Right.
It's
So why do
completely
you
different.
think people resist the joy? That's a phrase that you used a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Where did that resistance come from?
I think resisting joy is like, I think we're living in a world right now in transition of like really allowing people to live in a joy-filled bodies. When we talk about all of the racial inequities going on, it's just like we are really in this place of, can we let people live fully in their bodies with joy?
Right.
And there is a resistance, since our habit as a culture has been, no, you got to keep that in check.
Yeah.
But there's nothing more powerful than a being who's living in a body of joy.
Right.
And it's also threatening. Like, for me, it was like a threat. Like, wait, it's like I have to overcome my Midwestern kind of sensibility in a way and step into
Yes.
something that feels a little bit outside my box. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I had to kind of reclaim, and also and not even reclaim, but start to understand what it could mean to
Right.
really be in a joy. And I'm not talking fakey saccharine joy.
Right.
I'm talking connecting to all that is joy.
I love that. Okay, so this has been such a process. So you went to this first class, then over a course of time, you started to notice every time you left class, you had changed. Something about you had shifted in a meaningful way, not just in a, oh, checking my box, I got my workout done, but in
Exactly.
a way that in your core, you were feeling different. So somewhere along the line, you started to become an instructor, and now you're going to become an instructors of instructors, and even are going to open your own, spoiler alert, studio.
Yeah.
So this is all a really exciting progression for us. But we had talked about, before we got on the podcast, your most recent social media post,
Yeah.
which is about having a quote unquote dancer's body.
Mhm.
So there's this expectation about, if you're a dancer, you have that ballet dancer sort of physique. And I don't have that either. I am a curvy woman.
Mhm.
What was that like for you being in a dance class? I mean, Nia is kind of a dance class. It's kind of martial arts. It's sort of a hybrid. It's hard to explain until you experience it.
Yeah.
What was that like for you to start to see yourself in that way, as someone who could be a dancer, as someone who could even be in front of the room showing people how to do that, and now to show instructors how to do that? What was that evolution like for you?
Well, it was absolutely life changing. I mean, the root of the fear is around when I was a kid, again, when I was an overweight kid,
Mhm.
and or how I was defined was an overweight kid.
Yeah.
And my sister was a dancer. She always went to dance classes, and I always loved that she was a dancer, but that wasn't a possibility for me. It didn't feel like it. It wasn't given to me as a possibility.
Right.
And it also, I understood, like, by seeing what was around me, that no, my body doesn't really fit into that. Even
Mhm.
though I loved to dance, I was a performer naturally. It was just in me. I wanted to dance, and I wanted to sing, and I wanted to do everything.
Yeah.
And then as that progressed, that was just kind of buried. And then Nia, what it allowed was that if I believe that everyone is a dancer, everyone is a singer, everyone is an artist. And it just takes the courage to say, no, my moving body is a dancer body. So I am a dancer. My singing and sounding body is a singing body. So I am a singer. So there's this whole shift of what makes it, whether it's professional, like letting go of all those labels of what it means. And also, truth be told, like ignoring all of the messages that are being put into our lives every day. So a real good chunk of it was me just saying, no, that's not truth.
Okay.
It's just like a choice. Like, that isn't truth, and I know what truth is.
Right.
And yes, there are, and I mean, reading that, there was a New York Times article, and ballet dancers have to restrict themselves so much. Like, getting breasts is like the biggest no to have to live in that world, to have, like, that you don't want to have what we are made to have,
Right.
in this body anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just this accepting of, like, oh no, that's my body is made to look like, so that what my body looks like now is a dancer's body,
Mhm.
and letting go of all of the noise.
That's amazing. So I've also observed some other things about you with Nia, and that is that it seems like Nia is not just going to a class and you're done. It seems like the Nia community is a community. So I'm curious to hear from you, like, what has Nia meant for you? What has
Mhm.
this practice meant for you? I know it's obviously more than we said, just doing a workout. How has this practice impacted your life? What has it brought to your life?
um well, it's brought so many things. It's brought a community of seekers to my life, a community of people that really are interested in living a life that has meaning. It's brought that's been the biggest, I think, the biggest, most valuable thing, or the, like, my community of dancers. Yes, which I'm a teacher, but I'm a teacher, they're a teacher, we're a teacher, everyone's a teacher, and I'm a student and they're a student. So there's a constant wheel of receiving and giving, and receiving and giving, of what it means to be alive right now. And the sensation, the felt sense of having a meaningful life. That's my mission, is to help people really have that felt sense of what does it mean to have a meaningful life. And that's what the community has brought me. And I've had to work through my stuff, my barriers, my boundaries to really be able to melt into the possibility of others carrying, we are carrying each other, that kind of feeling. It's brought me emotional healing. Like I said, I've gone through many grieving processes while I've taken Nia. My dad died. Prior to starting Nia, I was grieving the loss of my sister. All of that I was able to heal through
Right.
Nia.
Right.
Um, and there's so much more. I mean, my mind is different. Everything is, it's just all shifting
So
still.
last night I finished this book called The Body Keeps the Score. I don't know if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
familiar. It's about trauma and healing trauma. And he's a psychiatrist. And of course, he's talking about different modalities. But one thing that seems to come up over and over is that moving our bodies and actually feeling into that movement and the mindfulness of that is one of the things that can actually short circuit somebody through a healing process much more quickly, because we have all, whether intentionally or unintentionally, become to some extent dissociated, whether that's from distraction of things around us or if it's because of painful things that have happened. So I think this practice of Nia is so interesting because it really brings together so many of those aspects of healing, and you're living proof of that. But I also see with Nia that there's this really, really fun playfulness that happens.
Totally.
It reminds me of like acting warm-up exercises.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're in a show or something, and it's just like, well, what does this look like if you make this sound or if you do this or that? So to somebody who's coming to a Nia class for the first time, what would you tell that person to expect?
Oh gosh, I would say definitely something around have fun. I mean, this is a gateway of joy. And so it is playful. It's a reconnection or connecting again to that childlike possibility of moving and not letting anything stand in the way of what feels good. So I would say that someone walking in, I would say, listen to your body, move the way that feels good to you. Know that there are different levels that this is made for everybody, no matter what. We have moving to heal, we have regular Nia, we have all these different ways that we can express ourselves through this Nia umbrella, this big umbrella of Nia, and enjoy and be in joy of movement, which means listen to the body. That's what is most important. Yes, we have choreography. Yes, we have moves, but that is not what Nia is about. It helps us get there, but it's super fun. It's
Okay.
joyful. It's absolutely joyful.
Well, you sound like you know what you're talking about. You have walked the walk, or should I say dance the dance,
Yeah.
did the Nia. And I know that people are definitely going to be curious about how they could find a Nia class. And I know that you are currently in a transition to something new on the horizon. So do you want to share with us some of the things that you have going on in your world in terms of what you have to offer?
Yeah, I would love to. Well, the timing of this is just so divine.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm going to be stepping into creating my own Nia studio, and it's called In Spirit Studios. Um, and it feels very aligned with another part of my life, which I don't, Erin, you don't know about, is that I'm also in an interfaith seminary program.
Oh,
So
cool.
so I'm bringing in all of this, the ceremonial part of living,
Yeah.
and opening up a space first, virtually. So you can absolutely just visit niawithsarah.com. That's an easy way,
Yeah, Sarah.
niawithsarah.com. And it'll
H,
have all my
Sarah with an H,
Sarah
Sarah.
with an H. Yes, very important. And that'll have everything listed, and I am transitioning. So it's going to be a little bit as I move into more of the inspiritstudios.com, which is going to be the website. But yeah, I'm super excited. Just bringing more, I've just realized COVID has really helped me. COVID has helped me get clarity and also the guts, the courage to really step out on my own and realize that I'm meant to do it, and it's all spirit is just keeps talking and talking and talking, and it's like it won't let me go until I do it. So I am doing it, and it's in Spirit Studio, and it's super exciting.
Oh my God. So is it all going to be online, or are you going to have in person as well?
I am going to have, not right now, since we're still in the process of opening up everything.
Okay.
So I think, in the beginning, it's mostly online. So anyone from anywhere, you can join me. And
Yay.
then, yay. And then my plan is to continue to do hybrid classes. So no matter what, it will have both online and in-person classes, and outdoor classes when that's, the weather is good enough for that. And there'll be other offerings as well. That's all to be announced, but it's gonna be really beautiful teachers coming and joining me in this new venture.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And I can just feel in your core of your spirit that you are so centered and
Mhm.
so it's like the bow is on the string in exactly the right way for you right now in terms of like this is what you are meant to do. It's just like
Mm.
it's right there. So I'm very excited for you. So let's bring us back to the beginning a little bit here. And this is the question that I ask a lot of my guests, and we'll finish here, is that what do you wish there, if there was one thing that you wish everybody could know about their body, what would that be?
Mm. Um, that that radical body love is possible, and that the story of the body, the story of your body, is important to be shared, and it's important to honor it. So however, wherever the now body is, and I don't mean past body, future body, I mean now body is, like being like a storyteller of this vessel that we're only lucky enough to be in this time,
Right.
this one time, and to express it in any way that feels beautiful.
Mhm.
Essentially, your body is beautiful. Our bodies are beautiful, and yeah. So I guess that's the piece of wisdom I have.
Wow. I feel like I have been to church in this. Seriously, like this has been soul feeding. And I know that so many people are going to want to connect with you, Sarah. So, in addition to your websites, you are on Instagram. Are you on Facebook these days?
I'm on Facebook. Facebook, it's Sarah Nickerson, and that will shift again, but you can look me up on that. And then also, Santa Fe Sarah is my Instagram.
Yay. Well, I hope
Yeah.
to make it down to visit you in Santa
Oh,
Fe when
please, that
all
would be
things are
great.
open. We'll maybe do like a sound bath or something together.
That'd be awesome.
That'd
Love it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And for those of you listening or watching, thank you so much for sharing this space with us. If you have enjoyed this, I always appreciate those 5-star reviews. Make sure you subscribe, comment, and like, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.